everybody. This is a real deal special emergency news update. And I've been sitting on some information the past 24 hours, and I think it's time for it to come out in a complete expose fashion, but in a responsible and somewhat vague fashion for obvious reasons, and we'll get into that, and I'll try to make this quick as possible and as concise as I possibly can, which is can be a real task at this time in not just the country, the world. So I'm going to start small. Is what we're witnessing with protest and riots is what I saw coming in March when this whole pandemic started. From the release of 3.5 inmates, 3,500 inmates in California, and then that statistic was across major cities in the United States of releasing of inmates for COVID. So, the Minneapolis event, let's call it what it is, the more it's unraveled, is just that, an event that was staged, manufactured, and I'm not even saying George Floyd is not dead. It's a possibility he's dead, or he might not be. It's definitely coming out that the officer and him worked together for 17 years as security guards. And it's coming that the mugshot of the alleged cop, they're two different people. But I'm not here to play CSI right now of what people would call a conspiracy theory. No, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a realist. I do the job that the corporate media or BuzzFeed or these hip little news outlets that are totally overrun and taken over by outside forces don't tell you. I put my skin in the game. I put my name out there because it's, 2 minutes past midnight, as they say. So let me get to the crux of the matter. So, like the Women's March after inauguration, it was a CIA put together, produced event. All the protests happened at the same time. All the sentiment, of building burning a CNN building, from the rioters. I mean, the bussing in of agitators paid, just like Charlottesville. You had the racist KKK people getting off the same bus as like the Antifa type people. I mean, this is a contrived Brave New World type of scenario, Orwellian, if you will, being placed upon the American people and the rest of the world. So, we have videos of Antifa, which is a paramilitary wing of the Communist Chinese Party and the Deep State Democrat Party, which is not anything to do with liberal or Democrats, and the leftover Republicans from the Bush era, the neocons like Lindsey Graham, Mitt Romney. They're all part of a greater grand plot in which we said the vaccine agenda, when that was kind of in the minds and the headlines. Yeah, the GOP Senate, senators, over 50%, they're all complicit. They're all part of the vaccine agenda. They're all heavily invested, and it puts Trump in a corner. And I'm just giving you play-by-play. You can accuse me of being on this wing or that wing. It doesn't matter right now. So right now, we have protesters that have been hoodwinked and bamboozled, not just by their leaders or the media, but Black Lives Matter, which is ran by the FBI, the globalist wing of the FBI at the top, who have bamboozled the black people of America and others for a number of years now. Black Lives Matter can go on Twitter and call for an assault or killing somebody and be perfectly fine. If Dean Ryan does that, I go to prison. I go to jail. If you do it, same thing. That shows you the true players. Same thing when KKK people are white supremacists. That is always they're out. The white supremacists and the KKK are very minuscule. I'm not saying they're good or great. They're a very tiny percentage of the issue or the crux of the matter. And of course, yeah, Russia comes back up on an election year. How convenient. Susan Rice saying, oh, Russia's behind Antifa. Really? This is what Antifa's doing. They're luring in the deep state, the blue governors, the blue cities are luring in and goading Trump to send in the military. So the military can be on every major American city street, like tonight, tomorrow, in the weeks to come. And there's a reason for that. It's not like Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, oh, he wants the military and Trump to take care of it. You know, that's a win for the administration or a win for the city. They're allowing these cities to burn. They're having the cops, the city cops, who work for and take order for the mayors, the governors, to increase their brutality on people, lie bricks everywhere, set up protesters to steal a car. I have footage of this. We're putting it together. I mean, I'm trying to run a whole news operation. I'm like one guy with several other people that are doing other things. It's hard to get this out. And I understand the police brutality, and there's some well-meaning protesters who are going to these protests around the country, you know, protesting a staged event or protesting against police brutality, and I'm with you. But this is not the event or something you want to be part of, but I'm going to tell you why. Antifa is setting the black people up of this country. And by the way, this is going to pour out to all the Western countries, London, Sydney. They're setting up the blacks, paying the black people to loot. We have that on film. They're setting up the protesters to take the fall. So when the military comes, Antifa is set up with fully automatic weapons and other weapons of war, hollow point bullets. And if you don't know what a hollow point bullet is, it is a thick bullet. When you get shot by it, it bursts and you pop like a grape. They're setting up the military to do it, or to invade. This is what they want. They want the invasion. So when the Marines are here, for example, and there's protesters in the street, they're going to say, oh, Trump's army or military shot up a bunch of protesters and black people. They're racist. They're setting the American military up for a Kent State 1968 type of event where the military back then did shoot anti-war protesters, students, college students. That's what they're setting up now. How are they going to do it? Well, easy. An Antifa guy or a CIA op, a black ops guy will wear a Marine uniform and just start shooting protesters up unknowingly to the protesters and say it was Trump, and the CNN camera will be there for this false flag event. And when that happens, the following is going to happen. But you're probably saying, how are they getting these weapons of war? Which is it's a great question. How are they getting these weapons of war? I'm not going to get too specific because that's going to really change some things. But I will tell you in somewhat of a vague term, and I wish I could say more, but in due time I will. But there are mansions, there are places that is controlled, some of them by governors, put two and two together, that have the fully automatic weapons that Barack Obama gave the DHS in 2015, and please look this up, it did happen. He gave 1.5 billion rounds of hollow point bullets of ammunition to the Department of Homeland Security in 2015, along with a multitude of fully automatic rifles in 2015. Nobody has been able to locate where those went since 2015, or even probably day of. Ladies and gentlemen, he was setting up a paramilitary force to take up arms, not to protect us from Al-Qaeda, which is ran by the CIA, but in the event that the militias or real Americans rise up to his tyrannical presidency during that time, but not just his, the one world government, cabal, CIA asset future president after him, which was supposed to be Hillary, those would have been at their expense to use by their own accord. But it goes deeper than that, and I'm almost done. So, just take into account what I said. They're handing them out to Antifa as we speak. I'm a little nervous, a little anxiety, and a lot going on. I got helicopters in the background. This is literally a war zone. So I wish it was a bit more professional. Okay, so when the troops are here, here in theory, they're going to pull that false flag. You probably hear the helicopter. It's getting bad. I'm in LA and it's bad. It's really bad. And I'll make another video about that maybe soon. But I just want to finish my point if the universe would allow me to. So when they pull their false flag and they shoot at protesters to blame Trump's military, the governor of California, and maybe even probably Pelosi as well, they're going to go to the United Nations Security Council and ask for help and build a coalition to protect them from the evil dictator Donald Trump. And I say this because I use the reference of the Iraq War and the invasion of Libya, which are the same things. Bush called it an insurgency or Iraq war. He called it a war. Obama called it a peace-loving, freedom, democratizing invasion to free the people of Muammar Gaddafi. Well, whatever terminology they use, they're going to plan on doing that to the United Nations Security Council, and this is very critical. You have to remember the governor of California declared in April California is an independent nation state. Well, that's partially true. Today, what's really true is China is behind majority of what you're seeing, as is Israel on a lesser degree, because both of those countries are part of the one world government. They're heading it, which is called a multipolar world order that was just 90% formed, completed, except we're in the way. Americans are in the way. The Trump populist movement is in the way, and that's why they've used every technique and tactic in the book, controlling their media. This American media is hardly American or media, to throw at him, to throw at us, to censor people like me. China controls Google and iPhones and Apple and majority of the media, the ADL run by Israel, if I can even say that. We're in a full-scale war. So the troops, the UN troops, will come here and use what's already here in all these bunkers as well as their own. And we're essentially sitting in a future war-torn area. If you're in LA, it's going to be like Yugoslavia, that war. If you're going to start looking like, remember Syria? Syria was a beautiful, pristine country until that war started. And look at them, there's refugees everywhere. And we kind of have that now in California and New York. People have left the state in record numbers. Yeah, Gavin Newsom's not going to tell you that. He's going to tell you everything's fine. But this is what they want. Every major Democrat governor, and I'm sorry, I got to tell some of you this, and you might disagree, saying I'm playing in the left-right paradigm. I'm sorry. We have to get past that. This is throw your political philosophy out the window and lock your window, because this is no longer about politics. We're in a World War III, not even scenario, reality, and it's self-preservation of Americans, our sovereignty, our family home, our everyday life, and we're fighting the one world government. And the Chinese are at the head of it. They've infiltrated majority of society. They've owned the Long Beach ports for 40 years, major movie studios. They own a lot of the sports teams and have major influence in the NBA and NFL. They own the WHO and yes, Israel too. But I want to talk about the most prevalent thing right now is we're in a full-scale war, and it's going to get hot, and it's the last few chess moves for both sides, and Trump knows this. So if you're in a major city where riots are happening, that's about to get a lot hotter. I said 2 days ago they were going to start shooting police and cops for optics, to make the protesters look dangerous and main source of the problem, when it's really the bigger picture that I just explained. You know, they have the cops cops are taking stand down orders, or they're getting the order to be brutal and leave rioting bricks and toys all over the place. So the disenfranchised, protests, Antifa, them two will start throwing them at people to cause more havoc, more destruction. So I will leave you with this. Somebody started to be, oh, you're not about solutions. Well, why are we all about solutions right away? Don't we need to know the cause and the problem? So let me try to give an idea and a solution to what I feel and I think is happening, and I've also heard whispers. Is in 2016, I said on my last show on iHeartRadio, truth be told, that the only way this country will be revitalized is going to have to be through insurrection, like Abraham Lincoln did during the Civil War. Please look it up. I'm thinking that's exactly what's happening now, and I have heard some things in the background I don't want to get into, but Trump is doing it covertly. He's lining up certain military assets around certain states of great interest that are pretty much have governors that are treasonous and under the multipolar wing world order of China and the rest. China has consolidated majority of the world. They own the natural water reservoirs in Australia, just for an example. You better believe they own Venezuela, another proxy state where their bases are everywhere. They're up and down Africa. I'm not saying I'm giving the Americans a pass. I'm telling you what we're facing. I mean, let's at least get away and defeat these people, the globalists, and then we can deal with our own issues. I'm with you. I agree. I'm trying to be as fair and objective as possible, but at the same time, too, I'm still human, and I'm in the middle of some very heavy future crossfire. Okay, so that's what we're facing. The weapons are here. They're armed. It's a standoff. It's like two cars coming at each other. Who's going to flinch first? And this is extremely dangerous. And we need to start preparing and get ready, because this civil war, at the very skin of it, is going to get hot. But this is a world war. And you've been informed here, I hope, and share this information. If you don't share the video, they could delete it. At least understand what I'm telling you. If you're a protester, stay away from these things. This is not your protest. Majority of America supports you and understands. Do not follow these Black Lives Matter. Do not follow these Antifa. You will be used as shields. You will be used as the fall guys, the boogeyman, and you will be used as cannon fodder when they destroy you with fully automatic weapons to blame, quote unquote, Trump's military. Understand, this is not the protest you want to be involved in. This is not the event you think happened in Minneapolis. This is a total setup and the spark to ignite World War III officially, for the world war government to take over, finally take over, and bring America not only to its knees, but its coffin, and this is their final chance to do it. And we are at the crossroads. We have to decide how we're going to fight back, what our response is, and we can't do that unless we know who our common enemy is and the players on this chess game. And that's what it is. So I want to leave you with that. This is a real deal update, and most important, and hopefully I can be here in the days to come. And thank you guys for joining me.